Good morning. Today we are going to continue the previous lecture that was on precedent. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the parts. What is there in the precedent? In a precedent, there are two concepts called as ratio decidendi and obiter dicta. What Salmon says, a precedent is a judicial decision which contains in itself a principle. Means in a judgment there is a principle. That principle is to be followed in the future cases. That principle which is being created in a judgment, that is called as a precedent. That is ratio decidendi of the precedent. Like in Rowland versus Fletcher, the principle was of strict liability, that if anything is brought by any person on his land for his own purpose, for his purpose, and that thing escapes and causes damage, then the person who brought the thing for himself, he will be strictly liable. That is the principle which will be followed in future cases, in the same cases, in the like cases. Okay, that is ratio decidendi, means the principle is the ratio decidendi as per Salmon. Similarly, in Donnock versus Stevenson, what was the ratio decidendi? That if a person is having a duty to take care, and if that duty is being broken and if damage is caused, then the person who was having a duty to take care, he will be liable for negligence. Means negligence was defined in Donnock versus Stevenson, that is its ratio decidendi. Strict liability principle was explained in Rowland versus Fletcher. Therefore, the ratio decidendi of Rowland versus Fletcher is strict liability. That principle is ratio decidendi and that should be followed. That concept has been told by Salmon. What Salmon says, ratio decidendi denotes the law applied and acted on by the court. Means when the court gives a decision, that court will apply a law, will act upon the law. That concept, that principle, that is called as ratio decidendi as per Salmon. I'll repeat. Ratio decidendi denotes the law applied and acted on by the court. Now we'll see one more view, that is of Rupert and Cross. What Rupert and Cross is telling, ratio decidendi is a rule of law expressly or impliedly treated by the judge as a necessary step in reaching his conclusion. Ratio decidendi is what? A rule of law which is expressly or impliedly treated by the judge as a necessary step in reaching his conclusion. Reaching to his conclusion means giving a judgment. Now when he gives a judgment, he takes certain steps. When he takes those necessary steps on which he acts upon, as Salmon has stated, he has acted upon. So the necessary steps are the things on which the judge acts upon. That is called as ratio decidendi by Rupert and Cross. I will repeat both of the views. Salmon says ratio decidendi denotes the law applied and acted on by the court, while Rupert and Cross is telling ratio decidendi is a rule of law expressly or impliedly treated by the judge as a necessary step in reaching his conclusion. Both Salmon and Rupert and Cross, their view is same. They say that it is a principle on which the judge acts upon. It is a necessary steps of which the judges take. Okay, that will be called as a ratio decidendi. However, this view of Salmon is being criticized by Goodhart. Goodhart criticized Salmon's view on ratio decidendi and pointed out that reason for the decision is not necessarily the ratio decidendi. Means he says that the reason for the decision is not ratio decidendi because it may be bad and yet the case may become an authority. Means the reasoning which the judge has given, the steps which the judge has taken, they may be bad, they may be wrong, but the decision will be like precedent, it will be authority, so it is wrong. The reason may be wrong, the reason may be bad, therefore it cannot be the ratio decidendi. He observed that ratio decidendi is not necessarily the proposition of law stated in a judgment because the proposition may be broader than necessary or it may be even narrower. Therefore, the necessary steps or the principle on which the judge acts upon or applies, that may be broader than required. It may be narrower than required. Therefore, the reasoning is not proper. Therefore, that reasoning cannot be ratio decidendi. According to Goodhart, ratio decidendi is nothing more than the decision based on the material facts of the case. Means what he says, the decision of the case is ratio decidendi. And Salmon and Rupert and Cross, they are telling that the reasoning, the principle on which they act, that is ratio decidendi, and thereafter the judgment is been given. Got it? Salmon and Rupert and Cross are telling that the principle on which the judgment is based, the decision is based, that is called as ratio decidendi, while Goodhart is telling that decision based on material fact of the case is ratio decidendi, means the decision is ratio decidendi. However, this view of Goodhart is also being criticized, that this theory ignores that it is within the function of the judges in the subsequent cases to say what they choose to regard as material facts of the earlier case. So again here what he says, the decision based upon the material facts, that is ratio decidendi. But the future judges in different cases, what they can consider, that these are the material facts. One judge may say that these are the material facts, the other judge may say that these are the material facts. So they will rely upon they will rely or give importance to different aspects in the similar type of cases. So this view that the decision is ratio decidendi is wrong. Two persons agree to a collection of individual facts and yet form different impression. Whether two cases resemble each other sufficiently so as to regard it as a precedent for subsequent cases, that may differ. Means the case may be based upon similar type of facts, but one judge may consider some facts as material, the other judge may consider other facts as material, and they may interpret in a different manner. Therefore, they may be the whole amount of facts are there, but the inferences drawn by the judge may be different. Therefore, it is not the decision which is ratio decidendi, it is the principle, it is the reason on which the decision is based, that is ratio decidendi. Therefore, many of them have agreed that whatever Salmon has mentioned or Rupert and Cross has mentioned, that is ratio decidendi. We will take one more definition of Kitten. Ratio decidendi is a principle of law which forms the basis of decision in a particular case. Therefore, it is a base, it is a reason on which the case is being decided. This is the proper view. Okay. Now, this is ratio decidendi, and ratio decidendi, that is the principle, must be followed in the future cases. The other is what? Obiter dicta. Obiter dicta means while explaining the case, while giving the reasonings, while coming to the conclusion, while drawing the inference, the judge may observe certain things and he may state those things. Those things are just helping the judge to come to a conclusion, but they are not the base of the conclusion. That just by the way, means he has mentioned is just by the way, just while going it, he has explained it. That will be called as obiter dicta, and obiter dicta is not binding. In the course of judgment, a judge may make various observations which are not precisely relevant to the issues before him. He may illustrate his reasonings by inferences, by references to some hypothetical situations. Whatever said by the court by the way of the statement of law, which lay down a rule which is unnecessary for the purpose in hand, is called as obiter dicta. Therefore, while giving references, while illustrating, while drawing inferences, he may explain certain things, he may state certain things. That means that is not that important for the other cases. That is important for his conclusion, or he is explaining it. Those are just by the way statements. Therefore, they are not related to the issue directly. Therefore, those are what? Obiter dicta. These dicta are persuasive authority and are not binding upon the courts. They can seek help, but not bound to follow them. Means the judge may take help of the obiter dicta of the previous cases, but they are not binding upon him. But he is bound by the ratio decidendi. Okay. Obiter dicta is being explained by Goodhart, defined by Goodhart. Goodhart defines obiter dicta as a conclusion based on facts the existence of which has not been determined by the court. Means the existence is not that important for the court, but he explains it, he illustrates it. That is called as obiter dicta. We'll see one case, and from that we will consider what is ratio decidendi of the case and what is obiter dicta of the case. Okay, the case is R versus Franklin. Deceased was bathing in a sea. Accused Franklin stole a box from a hotel which was nearby at the sea beach and threw it into the sea. It struck deceased who was bathing and he died. Means Franklin, when he stole the box from some hotel, people are running behind him. Take an example like that. People are running behind him. He comes to know that okay, he'll be caught. So what he does, he throws that box. When he throws that box, he does not know whether the deceased is bathing there. He is throwing it. The box strikes the deceased and the deceased dies. Franklin is been arrested. Now Justice Field says that ratio decidendi of the case is what? That if a person while committing a wrong or a consequence of the wrong causes death of the person, he cannot be held guilty for manslaughter, that is murder, only because of the reason that the death has been caused due to his act. Whatever Franklin has done, he was not knowing that the deceased was bathing at the sea. He threw that box. So he is responsible for his death. This will not be called as murder because there is no intention here. He was not having that knowledge. Therefore, just consequences caused by a person will not make him guilty for manslaughter. This is ratio decidendi. A person who causes death of another person due to his gross negligence shall be guilty of manslaughter. But if person is very much guilty, rashly, negligently, he is not giving importance to the facts and all, he is not taking care, there is a gross negligence, then he may be guilty for manslaughter. According to Justice Field, this is the ratio decidendi of the case. And now what is obiter dicta? That even if the prosecution succeeds in proving that the alleged tort of negligence was committed by the accused, he shall not be guilty of manslaughter until the jury finds him guilty. At that time, jury system was there. So what Justice Field is telling, that unless the jury finds him guilty for his offence, he will not be accused for manslaughter. He will not be liable, not accused, liable for manslaughter. That is a statement which the judge has mentioned there. But that's not much importance here. That is what? Just an obiter dicta, which the judge explains it clearly for negligence as a tort. Negligence causing manslaughter. For that he is explaining it. Therefore, this is what? Obiter dicta. Okay. Now, here we complete ratio decidendi and obiter dicta. Okay. Bye bye. See you in the next video.